Hey guys, Coach Becca here. Welcome to my suspension workout for runners. Today we'll be using solely a suspension trainer. We're going to begin with it at mid-calf length. To adjust your straps, grab the adjustment carabiner and pull. And let's just practice shortening and lengthening those straps a little bit here to begin. You'll get plenty of chances to learn how to adjust and shorten or lengthen the straps today. You want to make sure that they're starting at mid-calf length. This is the kind of go-to length of a TRX. And let's begin with some golf swing rotations. Lean back with your feet just underneath your shoulders, and while keeping your arms straight, rotate your hands above your opposite shoulder. We're just going to go side to side here. So my arms stay straight, and I'm rotating from one shoulder to the next. Now, to make this movement more challenging, you can move closer to the attachment point. So I'd walk my feet in. To make it easier, more doable, you'd walk your feet back. So you can make any movement easier or more challenging by simply adjusting your feet. So if you feel like you have to bend your arms in order to rotate, your feet are probably too far in or too close to the attachment. So try stepping back. This is a nice warm-up exercise that mobilizes the spine and gets our core going. It's a great rotation exercise. It's awesome for athletes, so a perfect introduction to our workout. All right, we're going to adjust the straps by shortening them. So pull those tabs up, make sure that they're even. Very good. And next we're going to do an assisted deep squat. So the correct way to adjust your footing here is that when you're fully extended in your squat, your arms are straight, and then when you stand, your arms kind of naturally go into that bent position. So it's kind of, I always start in the standing position with my arms at 90 degrees, and that should be about right. But based on you and your height and where you're working out of, you might need to adjust a little bit. So don't be afraid to pause if you need to and make further adjustments. Try to really unlock those hips because you have that TRX to assist you up and down. A great way to watch your posture and allow for a really deep squat, which should feel like an awesome stretch. If you're like me, you're doing this workout after a long run or maybe after a long hike or walk, and that one should just feel amazing. All right, now the next one, you might need to adjust your straps based more on your mobility than anything. We're gonna do a side lunge shift with our foot in the straps. So kind of make that call based on how, sore or tight you are and where your mobility's at. I will show an option without your feet in the straps if this looks like it's way too advanced for you. I'm going to demonstrate 3 here, just with my feet in. It's just a really good stretch for the inside of the legs and the hips. And if that doesn't suit you, bring the foot down and just do that same movement without the TRX or suspension trainer. Very good. Again, this one's really just to open up those hips, stretch out the adductors a little bit, wake the legs up. It's a great balance exercise if you're doing the elevated version. And notice how my foot is lined up with the TRX attachment at the start there. That's kind of a good little trick too. You can always adjust your movement and change the exercise a little bit with the TRX, which is sometimes very good. But it can make the exercises more challenging too. So make sure your setup is correct if you feel like you're struggling with the exercise a lot. Okay, we're on the other side now. Be careful to make sure that toe is generally pointed straight ahead and that your knee, ankle, and hip all align, just to not put any undue stress on any joints. This is a great stretch if you just completed a run. I know after doing a long run, today I had a little tempo worked into my long run. This just feels like a really nice way to rejuvenate my muscles, help me recover, and really help with my resilience too. I like doing strength after a hard run session or a long run session or a hard long run session. Very good. All right, we're going to bring the straps down a little bit to mid-calf, which just means the handles line up about to the middle of my calf height. And we're going to do a chest fly lunge. So your hands are in neutral grip. The straps there are in neutral grip, which I just demonstrated. You'll step forward with one leg to assist you, and you're going to lean onto that front leg as you stretch your chest and bicep muscles. So this one's great for improving your mobility there, improving the resilience. Here's a better view of that shoulder and chest area. You want to get a lot of range of motion there, which is why that front leg is so important here in the warm-up. Just lean onto that and try to get as much movement as you can through your shoulder joint. It should be pain-free. The elbows can be soft there, but we want your arms to get a good stretch. We want to work on those shoulder muscles and tissues and tendons, and just kind of working this as an active, dynamic stretch here. Let's switch feet. Same thing, start with your hands in neutral, right in line, hands are in line with the shoulders. You're gonna open a lot and then close. Really big opener and then close those hands in all the way. Just apply light pressure to those handles as you come in, along with shifting some of your weight onto that front leg. Great for the biceps, great for the shoulder. Great, just a great warm-up exercise. I love this one. Chest fly and assisted lunge. And again, if it feels like it's not really working for you, if the straps are kind of coming up too short, just either, slide those straps down a little bit or adjust your footing, and that should really take care of it. A lot of people run into problems with just their setup on the suspension trainer. All right, now we're just gonna shorten those straps up a little bit. Mine have a nice little tab. So, there's fully lengthened, mid-calf, shortened, and then fully shortened. So we're kind of going to explore all those today. All right, this one's tricky now, so stay with me here, guys. My back leg is providing support, so I call that a kickstand. I've got one hand overhand and one hand underhand. Okay, the underhand hand goes straight down, the overhand hand goes overhead. So my right arm is overhand, I pull that overhead, okay? And that felt a little awkward to me, so I'm just gonna lengthen those out. And I wanted to demonstrate that. You should be able to make that adjustment based on how the exercise feels, okay? So let's try that again. Again, the underhand hand goes down, my left hand, my right hand goes overhead. So your wrists start off facing one another, and then you just spread those hands apart. If it feels like you could get more movement out of this, step in a little bit like I just did there. In general, we're trying to get one arm to go directly overhead as far as it can, and one hand to go kind of toward your hip as much as it can. So we're trying to spread those hands apart like an alligator opening its mouth, okay? And you can adjust your strap length and you can adjust your footing to make this fit for you. This is an excellent posture exercise. It's great for your lats, great for your triceps, kind of good for those muscles along your spine. You might be feeling those here as you do these gator chomps. I do like to push on that back leg, that kickstand leg, so that I don't arch my back at all. Think about keeping your diaphragm closed, so your rib cage is pulled in. All right, I switched hands there, so now the left arm is going overhand, the right hand's going down, and now my left leg's the kickstand. And I'm just kind of sorting my way through this. You can see me adjusting my feet, taking the time here to make sure my body position is correct, and I'm going at a slow pace, especially on the way down. That's one thing the TRX will teach you to do. It's to control the eccentric or the lower down phase of a movement. Nice and smooth. Again, working your lats, your triceps, and kind of those posture muscles, those muscles along your spine, if you will. You should feel your core really engaged on this. And in general, I haven't mentioned repetitions because I've just assumed you guys are going right along with me, but we're kind of keeping things in the endurance range, where we're doing about 8 to 12 repetitions, sometimes 15, sometimes 20, but don't worry about the rep counting. I'll just demonstrate all the repetitions with you today. This is a full guided workout. All right, let's get into our main set. So that was our 5 exercise warm-up. Our first exercise, we're going to shorten up those straps and do some overhead squats. So your knuckles are going to go in the straps along the handle. You could put it along the into the little stirrups there if you like, but I like to put mine against some tension there. And you're actively pushing into those handles, so you should feel this in your upper back just as much as your legs. And reach for depth. A great posture exercise, a great strength exercise. It's pretty challenging, so I'm only going to have you do 5. You should be actively pressing your hands into the TRX and be reaching for depth. Now that might feel like way too much pressure for some of you. For some of you, it might feel great. You can do a second round with me now in the TRX, or you can choose to do your second round with the dowel. You're not getting a lot of rest, about 15 seconds. Again, today, endurance exercises, we don't need a ton of rest. This should be a challenging but doable exercise. We're doing 3 sets of 5 with about a 15-second rest. Okay, so you can put the dowel down. Some of you, if the TRX felt like a fine option, you can continue using that. Again, knuckles in, your hands are behind your head. Okay, your knees are over your ankles for the most part, and we're really reaching for depth. So think unlock the hips while you apply pressure to the handles. Try not to let your chest drop. You may try looking up at the attachment point if that helps you, or in some terms I've heard, keep your chest, proud chest, keep your chest open towards the attachment. Well done. You should definitely feel awake after that exercise. I find those to be quite challenging if done correctly. Okay, adjust the straps to mid-length, mid-calf length. We're going to lean back, shoulder width apart. Okay, we're going to do what's called a Y fly. Okay, so you're going to start with your hands overhand and then pull those hands back, keeping your arms mostly straight into a Y position. Okay, so you can make this exercise harder by bringing your feet in, but don't bend your arms. Okay, and you can also see I've just pulled my toes up now. So this is actually a great way to engage your core and glutes while doing an exercise where you're facing the attachment point. Okay, and now you can make this exercise easier by placing one foot back, like what I showed before, the warm-up, giving yourself that kickstand. You can simply press through that leg to allow you to do the movement better without bending your arms. Don't want to bend the arms or open up the rib cage. So keep that rib cage pulled down. Here's the flat-footed version. Here's up on the toes. Okay, so pull the toes up and then stand up to the flat-footed version. You should be pulling yourself into the full standing position. Good work. And that was 12 repetitions, guys. So if that was kind of a lot, you can hit pause, work through some of those variations. We're going to take just a deep breath here as our rest, about 15 seconds. Go with the kickstand version for the easiest. Feet flat, second, toes up, third. And you can always walk your feet in if it feels too easy. But on this one, you really don't need to be challenging anything too dramatically. We always want tension in the straps, so don't be yanking yourself up and down using momentum. You want to control the up and down on the TRX, so control that lower down. Keep tension in your straps, and just make sure that the foot setting is appropriate for you. See how I'm keeping my arms mostly straight as I make that Y pattern with my arms. Keep that rib cage closed. Squeeze the core and glutes. And for some of you, that might help if you do this entire set on your heels with your toes elevated. Pull yourself into the standing position. Another great one for the back side of your body, or a fancy way of saying it, would be the posterior chain. You might have heard that before. That just means any of the muscles on the back side of your body, like your upper back, your back in general, your glutes, your hamstrings, and your calves. Great work, you guys. All right, shorten those straps up. Again, you're going to get lots of practice changing the length of the TRX so you get very comfortable with the TRX. Okay? Now we're going to extend one leg in front of us, and we're going to do some pistol squats. So you're going to use the TRX to assist you, so that way you can get a nice deep pistol squat without tucking your tailbone in, or if you need to, you can even give yourself that kickstand here. So here's kind of a modified pistol squat. You could also just do a regular squat to pull like I showed in the warm-up, where both feet are down. So repeat the warm-up exercise if you need to. We're going to do 8 per side. And just notice here how I don't allow my hips to tuck under and I'm not sliding towards my heel, losing control of the lift. I'm nice and smooth with my hips in a good neutral position as I drop into a low squat. My arms start bent and then they extend in as I drop into that single leg squat. It might help you to think to pull your belly button in as you do these. A nice strong core that connects the lower body to the upper body is always key in any dynamic movement. And the pistol squat is great for building strength and resilience in your hips and quads and glutes, really important muscles for runners. And when you run, you're always on one leg. So it's important that we train those muscles to be strong and have great technique, okay? Since the other leg was resting while the other leg was working, we're going to go right into our second round of 8 single leg squats. Again, you may choose to just do 15 to 20 deep squats that are assisted from the warm-up if this feels like too much, or give yourself that little kickstand. So as runners, a lot of people talk about dysfunction when you foot strike, or, when you're running in general, as you get fatigued, say at the end of a marathon and your form suffers. This is one of those exercises that can really help with that. If you think about the alignment of it and just building the integrity and single leg training, it really does translate to your run and can really help keep you injury free. Okay, let's switch sides here and finish out pistol squats. It's important to do single leg type exercises as any athlete and really as any functional human, but specifically if your sport involves being on one leg a lot, like running, you're always on one leg. Or walking or hiking, this could, translate to that as well. Extend those arms as you go into that deep single leg squat. Arms bent to arms straight. Really nice work, you guys. Good work on the squat to pull on one leg. All right, we're gonna put the straps into single arm mode. So basically you slide one handle through the kind of that little triangle piece there. I'll show you again. You slide that handle through, okay? And then you slide it through again. So you're kind of just double looping it. When in doubt, you can always hold on to 2 handles as well. But I like to give it a nice pull just to make sure it's secure. You should be okay. There is a equalizer loop on mine, but you can always hold on to both handles at once if this makes you too uncomfortable. All right, we're gonna start into basically like a standing side plank. I kind of like to explain these as. And then you're gonna keep your elbow in line with your shoulder at all times, and you're just curling yourself into the standing position. So you start with your arm extended, and then you curl yourself to the upright position. So you start leaning and you curl yourself upright, if that makes sense, all the while keeping your elbow in line with your shoulder. So this one's a great one for runners. We need to keep those biceps strong for that. Just a nice, you're kind of carrying yourself in an isometric bicep curl. That's how I explain it, running arm position. So your arms can get tired. It's a great way to build strength, especially for endurance athletes. And it uses your body weight as resistance instead of like a heavy barbell or something. So it's a nice way to tone your arms and keep your run specific endurance arms in shape. I have felt my arms get very fatigued at the end of a long run or a marathon. So this one's important for me. I like this one for runners in particular. I also like that it's kind of a lateral plane exercise, so it makes me feel good to get in different planes of movement. And I love body weight training. It's a great way to get your core involved. And as always, you can make this exercise easier by stepping away from the attachment point. So for me to be stepping towards my window, or you can make this more challenging by stepping inwards towards the attachment point. Okay, again, since the resting arm was just chilling, I'm going to go straight into the second set without giving a designated rest point. So we're back on our original arm now, rounding out that second set. You might feel your arms start to slip a little bit as you get tired. Try not to let your shoulder sneak up towards your ear. You want to keep those shoulders down, as you keep the elbow lined up, squeezing your core, making sure you adjust the feet if you need to, walking out to make it easier, walking in to make it more challenging. But again, you shouldn't be torquing your torso or wiggling your elbows around in order to get a deeper or more challenging bicep curl. The TRX really enhances your range of motion, and we want to continue keeping that integrity and keeping that intention when we're using the suspension trainer. Okay, and we've switched sides here. So again, the focus should always be on getting a lot of range of motion for a really good movement that's not compromised in its integrity or its intention. So work the arms, a good range of motion. All the mechanics are taken care of. Core is engaged at all times. That's one thing we all love about the suspension trainer. So don't get caught up in anything other than what you need to do today and make this exercise appropriate for you. Awesome job. Let's take those handles out of single arm mode now. So just kind of unloop your loops. Should have gone through twice. Very good. All right, next I'm going to show you 2 levels. Level 1, you're going to use the TRX to assist you. You're going to do a single leg lunge back and then sweep that knee up into a drive. You can actually plant that back foot too if floating the back foot is too much. So I could put my back foot down there if, say, I'm tired or extra fatigued, or if this just seems like too much. Again, your arms start at 90 degrees bent, and then as you lunge back, you extend your arms. So your setup is really important there. Now, if that felt too easy, this is level 2. You're going to lunge back and then stand and drive the knee. Now, if that felt awkward, obviously you might not be able to adjust your straps while you're in them like I just did there. So do as I say, not as I do. But you want your knee to go into this nice driven position where your heel comes towards your butt, just like you want kind of in a good run stride. So lunge back and then pull your knee, drive your knee, I should say, as you pull your heel towards your butt. You might feel your hamstring as you do that. So this is a quad dominant movement, quad and hips and butt. But if you pull that knee through, you might find your hamstrings too, which is important in having a good running wheelhouse. Nice job. Now let's try the other side. Again, level 1, you start with your arms bent and then extend as you go back into either a floating lunge or just a step back lunge. Either way, we want to drive the knee at the top in all levels. That's that run specific knee drive that we want. Extend and pull. And that's a nice one. If I'm extremely fatigued, I don't think it's wise for me to do level 2. Say if I did like a really, really long run or a big speed run and my legs just can't handle it, obviously I would do the more assisted version. Now here, we can bring the even more run specific movement by doing the eye socket to hip pocket running arms. Drop that leg back. It's a nice hip stretch back there. Boom, pull the heel towards the butt. I can't stress how much I enjoy this exercise as a runner. You'll also notice when I do this movement that we'll do a stretch quick and then I'll talk about it. Let's give our legs a little rest. Let's do a forward bend here for about 15 seconds. This one I really want to make sure we respect that rest cycle because it is a really challenging exercise. And it should be pain-free, so don't force yourself through anything that feels uncomfortable for you. I can't stress that enough. So nice little forward bend to stretch your hamstring or your lower back. Okay, now you can choose to do level 1 or level 2. But one thing I want to point out, if you're in level 2, see how when I start and when I go, that my foot lines up with the, started on the wrong side, sorry. That my foot doesn't really ever go past that attachment point. Do you see that? That's one thing that's really important. It'll make the exercise just feel different if you start too far back or too far forwards. You won't get a good knee drive and it might feel like you're getting a ton of resistance when you lunge back. So make sure that when you're set up, see how that cradle, that foot cradle just lines up with the attachment point. That might just be something that's really helpful for you. If you have a mirror or somebody that could help you, watch from the side just to make sure you're not putting any undue stress there. Okay, let's switch sides. Make sure we're on the right side now. And we're going to lunge back, running arms, boom. Now you could be doing level 1 here too, which is where you have the handles in your hands and you're using them to assist you in an assisted lunge. And at the end of the day, you could always just do a regular lunge too. If this just feels like way too much, this is far more advanced than a regular lunge. But you could always do this on the floor without the TRX if either of these options just feels like too much or it's just one of those exhausting days. I understand. That knee drive though, very important, very helpful for training run specific muscles. Okay, I just pulled my tabs down a little bit. I pulled my straps a little bit more lengthened. All right, so this one I'm up on the toes. My arms are extended directly in front of me, and I'm gonna go into a single leg triceps extension. You don't have to go into single leg if you don't want to. If this movement is new to you, you might try it with both feet down first. But what we're gonna do are 12 tricep extensions, 6 per leg. So again, making it more run specific by just being on one leg, training the back of the body equally to the front, so we can throw in some triceps there. Okay, switch legs. Now notice that my elbows stay about in line with my temples or my ears. Sometimes I say keep your elbows in your peripheral vision field. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze that core. Try to stay up on your toe. Try on single leg. Try to do the single leg if you can. You can always bring that foot down if it's too much. Good work. It's a hard exercise if you are doing it correctly. So again, you want the arms extended up in front of you like Superman. This is how you do it without single leg mode. Okay, so if you need to, you can always do it this this pattern, okay? So let's stay up on the tiptoes and let's try it again. Single leg, 6 per leg, 12 total. Set number 2. One thing that's important if you're doing it in single leg mode like this is that you don't drop your chest and push your butt out to get the movement done. If you find yourself doing that, try just stepping forward slightly. You can always make the exercise easier or harder just by your foot position. Remember that. So if you can't quite get the movement down, try adjusting your foot position before you give up on it. You're almost there. Keep those elbows in a good position. Keep the elbows in and in that peripheral vision, kind of up by the temples, squeezing your glutes and core so your body stays smooth and in line. Everything's working together on this, your legs, your core, and your arms. That's why I love that exercise. Good work, you guys. Okay, just make sure that those straps are around mid-calf length for the next one. So you might need to pull them down. Well, we're gonna do our 8 push-ups. So we're gonna go up onto the toes. Make sure that your foot position is challenging but doable. So 8 push-ups. Squeeze the shoulder blades and then push with the arms. Just a nice way to get a nice deep push-up, a little deeper than what you could get on the floor. You can always get a deeper range of motion with TRX push-ups and floor push-ups, so I like that, even on the standing ones. It's a great way to learn how to do push-ups if you struggle with full push-ups on the floor as well. Now we're gonna do 8 plank rollouts. With your arms straight, you're just rolling your arms overhead like Superman. Remember to stay on your toes for this. That'll help you keep your core and glutes engaged. If this feels too hard, take a step forward or away from the attachment point. If it feels too easy, take a step in or towards the attachment point. Try to keep your hips in line with your shoulders. So don't push your butt out in order to roll the handles forward. Great work, and we're gonna go right back into push-ups now. So it's just a nice little superset where we go work the chest and back a little bit with the push-ups and then work the core. So it's not a ton of volume, just 8 of each with really great form. The push-up is great for your chest and back and your biceps as well as your core. And staying up on the toes is a great way to work your ankle mobility slightly. So stay up onto the toes. It's also a great way to keep your core and glutes engaged. All right, let's roll those arms overhead. For some people, I like to explain this like you're using an ab wheel or an ab dolly. It's just less pressure on your back. So it's a better option for those of you that are just beginning some core work or just figuring out push-ups. This is a great circuit or superset for you. You do want to make sure your hands go all the way back to underneath your shoulders though. So make sure you're doing the full range of motion, that reach, and then pull in, keeping your core tight. You might feel this in the backs of your arms as well and your lats, because those will be working for you here too. All right, great work. Now we're gonna do some floor exercises. So we might need to adjust it a little bit more, but let's just see how things go. I've done these exercises a lot, so I definitely know what's a good, again, that's kind of about mid-calf length, but you get a feel for what lengths work for your exercises. So, all right, what we're gonna do is just loop our heels into the stirrups, and your feet now line up with the attachment point, okay? And your hips line up with your knees. And what we're gonna do is just press our heels towards the floor as we drive our hips up. And again, make sure that your feet, for the most part, line up with the attachment point. If you're too far past the attachment point in either direction, you're gonna face some either higher resistance or you might put too much pressure on things. So make sure your setup is accurate and that it works for you. Okay, we're doing 12 of these. Great for your hamstrings and for your butt and for your core. And it's challenging. So 12 of the bridges. Okay, I'm gonna scooch back a little bit because again, I want my feet to line up with the attachment point always, especially on this one. Okay, so our legs are straight now. We're gonna lift our hips off the floor. Keep tension on the straps at all times. I can't stress that enough. Okay, one movement at a time. So pull the knee in, straighten the legs out, and then switch legs. So don't do this as a switch, switch, switch kind of thing. Go slow and controlled like this tempo. Okay, and you don't want the straps to chainsaw or zigzag, so that's why you always keep pressure on the stirrups. Great job. We'll adjust the feet a little bit. This one can be hard to do barefoot, so if you need to have shoes on for this, that might make it feel less awkward and funky. Again, make sure that you're changing your body position, because now we're going to do a knee bent exercise back to those 12 bridges. Okay, and these ones are tough. I really enjoy this exercise. It really works the back side of your body, your hamstrings and your butt and your core. Great for toning those muscles and building resilience and endurance there, which we need as runners or hikers or walkers, or just if you're doing this exercise because it's functional, good for you, But everyone needs strong glutes, strong core muscles, and hamstrings that are treated equally, shall we say, to the quads. Okay, it's easy to train the front side of the body, but it's sometimes more challenging and less glamorous to work the backside. But it's very rewarding when you give those muscles plenty of attention. Okay, straighten the legs back, out, slide back a little bit, and we're doing those alternating hamstring runners. Another very run-specific movement that works the hamstrings, glutes, and core muscles. Don't forget to always apply pressure to the foot cradles as you're doing this so that your TRX doesn't, or your suspension trainer doesn't go crazy on you. You know you're doing this right if you can keep equal tension on your suspension trainer without the equalizer loop activating for you. All right, so now we're going to do some feet in the suspension trainer or TRX. So this one, you can get your feet into the cradles a couple ways. You can do this way, which is definitely requires a little bit of mobility. So kneeling, and then just place your feet in here. Okay, we're going to go up into a feet elevated plank and draw one knee in at a time. So TRX mountain climbers. Now, if you're looking at this saying, there is no way, and heck, I can do this, just do mountain climbers on the floor. Just don't even do it with a TRX, okay? But if you're able to, this is a great core exercise that's run specific. The movements are just like doing high knees or just like doing a run form drill. You can gradually pick up your tempo, okay? But remember, we don't want that suspension trainer to go crazy on us. So you want to keep equal tension on the straps, which is why the TRX is so great. So 30 of those total, 15 per side. Another way to get into the suspension trainer is to loop the foot cradles through your toes and then flip over. That way is probably the most commonly used way, the most widely accepted. Another thing to keep in mind is, as you can see when I'm up doing this, that my feet line up with the attachment point, which is key to doing this exercise well without putting too much pressure on anything like your lower back or your shoulders. Okay, so you want to keep your hips in line with your shoulders. I think it's a helpful cue to remind people that you might need to keep your hips up actually a little higher than you would if you were on the floor, just to keep equal tension on the suspension trainer. So again, you can do those on the floor if it's too much in the stirrups, or you can even just hold a TRX plank if you need to. Again, various ways to get your feet into the straps. There's where you just place the toes through the foot cradles. We are going to do one more, okay, the plank kick out. Our final exercise of the day. You may do this without the TRX by just tapping one leg out at a time, like a lateral plank tap out if you need to, or just hold a plank in or out of the straps. This one's great because it opens up your hips. It works your glute med muscles, which again can be very weak. This exercise should just feel really, really nice. We're doing 15 of these total plank kickouts. I love the way this feels on my hips. It's like it's giving me a stretch while I work my core, especially after a long run. So not doing too many of these. You might want to add more repetitions if you're feeling strong. I'm just trying to fire up my core, get a good workout in, build some resilience without, going to failure. Obviously not something I like to do after a long run or when I'm deep in a run build. Okay, and here's the other way you might want to try putting your feet in. It's just quick. I like to do it that way. Again, my feet line up with the attachment point when I do these. I'm getting as much range of motion as I can, keeping my hips in line with my shoulders. 15 plank kickouts. Again, you can do this on the floor. Just tap one leg out at a time if you would like to do it without the TRX or the suspension trainer. Nice work. Okay, I'm just gonna shorten these up so I can get a good, you don't have to shorten them to stretch, but just so that I can, get a good camera view for you guys. I'm just gonna sit back. I call these like a standing child's pose almost. So it's a good stretch for your lats and your lower back. Try rotating towards each side so you can kind of highlight one side. You can get a good lat stretch on that side, a good lower back torso kind of twist. Feels good on the spine, feels good on the lower back and the lats. Just in that kind of deep squat position. really find the stretch that feels the best for you and then hold it, right? So you don't have to try those rotations if it feels like too much, but I love stretching out my lats that way, okay? And then I'm gonna turn the handles outwards and do a nice chest stretch here. You can do this on a wall too, but I love the way that this stretches out my shoulders and my chest bicep muscles. That forward lunge position, just taking a little heat off of the stretch, so I wouldn't recommend doing this without one of the legs propped forward. It's just a nice way to kind of keep yourself in a safely stretched position. Take some deep breaths, bring the heart rate down, reflect on what you did well today or what you'd like to try to improve on next time you do this workout. You guys did awesome today. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you again soon. Don't forget to subscribe so that you stay up to date on all my newest workouts. See you guys again soon.